Hey, it's Drybear. Today I'm going to go over everything that you need to know to get started in Wuthering Waves, and trust me, there's a lot of systems in the game that I wish I understood better when I first started playing. Wuthering Waves is a gacha RPG, and no, I'm not talking about gacha. Gacha is a term that refers to an old system of collecting figurines or toys from vending machines in Japan, where you would randomly get a toy and try to roll and roll until you got the one that you wanted, which was later adapted into video games because the idea of trying to wonder what's coming up next, which was actually quite exciting. So this means it is a gacha RPG, but it's also a character-based RPG, which means you're going to be unlocking and playing through many different characters that all have different play styles, personalities, voice lines, and different ways to represent themselves. And while you are given a few free characters and a main character, your primary method for acquiring new characters is going to be through the random convene system, which will draw from what are called banners or resonator convenes, where you can unlock weapons and characters through this process. Now, this random process of acquiring new characters and getting duplicates of them is the core of a gacha RPG and something you'll have to get adjusted to as part of the process. Now, you don't have to pay for every roll, as there will be a lot of giveaways, especially when it comes to Kuro Games, the developer and publisher of Wuthering Waves, but there are soft currencies. Soft currency just means a currency that you don't actually have to pay for. It doesn't require real life money. It is a currency that you build up as part of that process. The primary one is going to be called a strite, and this you will earn through exploration, through questing, through special events in the game, and just playing the game. And these can be used to pull any of the banners that exist inside of the store. So if you wanted to pull a character, you can start storing these up for a long time. It's very common practice in gacha RPGs to store up a lot of resources until a character comes out that you really like, and then you use all of them on that one banner to unlock that character and have it on your account. Now, just because you unlock a character doesn't mean you're done making that character stronger. What's known as sequencing or resonance chains is going to be the process of getting duplicates of that character to raise them up. So if you really like a character, you want to go to their resonance chain or their sequencing and look at all the upgrades they get every time you get a duplicate of that character, as they will continually get stronger and stronger. And at some of these levels, they will actually unlock brand new synergies or abilities and combos that weren't available before, which makes the character even more engaging. Now, since Wuthering Waves is a combat-focused game, you're going to get a lot of different options for playing the character that you're on. So you have a basic attack chain that can go anywhere from 2 hits to 5 hits, depending on the character. You can also do heavy attacks by holding your attack button, whether you're on mobile, future console, or on PC. And then you have one simple ability and an ultimate that you can activate as well, called a Resonance Liberation. And something that makes Wuthering Waves unique is the parry and perfect dodge system. So when an attack is coming your way, it can either be a normal attack that you can perfect dodge, which means if you dash at the right time, you will get a perfect dodge, which means you will take no damage and makes your character do this little special animation. And it will fill up meters we'll talk about in just a second, but it gives you lots of opportunities there. But with that attack you just saw, where there was the ring around it, that is a parryable attack, which will give you a special animation. So when those concentric rings appear around the enemy and start moving in, as soon as those rings close, if you hit them with a melee focus attack from the front, it will actually trigger a parry encounter, which will do extra damage to their stagger bar, which is their overwhelm bar. And once that goes down, they will stagger, fall to the ground, and you can pummel on them as much as you want. As long as you have an attack out in front of you that's melee, when that hits when the two circles conjoin, then you'll get a successful parry. So we'll prime the attack and the circles will come together. As soon as they do, you can hit him directly. It'll stagger him and do a bunch of damage to that stagger bar that he has under his health bar. And this works for bosses as well. You can dodge and parry, which makes the combat a lot more exciting and a lot more skill-based as well. But that covers the individual combat for a single character. But you're not going to be playing a single character. You'll be setting up a 3-person team of 3 characters. And there's a lot of different mechanics that go into swapping these characters in and out, as you'll only have one that you're controlling directly at a time, and you'll be able to dynamically swap between them to take the most advantage of their skill sets that they bring to the field. So I'd like to direct your attention to the meters that you have down at the bottom of the screen. The circle in particular that is on the far left side of the UI, you can see when I switch characters, it shows the element that that character has, and there's also a circle that goes around and fills up as you deal damage to enemies. This is referred to as your concerto energy and is primarily the representation of your ability to trigger special skills and animations that you will trigger when you transfer to another character when that bar fills up. So we're in combat here. Look at the circle bar down at the bottom of the screen. You'll notice that as I do dodges or use abilities or attack people, all of a sudden that bar will start to fill up. Then if you look on the far right side of the screen, the characters that I don't currently have actually selected right now will start pulsing and resonating and showing this white glow. Now that means if your conservator energy is full and you swap to that character, you will trigger an intro outro combo skill attack, which means that the entering character will do an intro attack and the exiting character will do an outro attack. Now the intro outro system is probably the most misunderstood system, especially for new players. It takes a little bit to wrap your head around. You'll find a list of abilities for any character either on their Forte page, which we'll talk about in a minute, going over all their different abilities, but one of the easiest places to see their intro outro combination is going to be on your team comp list. At the top right here, when you've made a team comp, you can view the outro skills that they'll see. And essentially that this is when an intro outro triggers, each character has both an intro and an outro. If you are the active character and you're transferring to another character with a concerto energy, you will trigger an outro because you are the one that's exiting the field, and the character that's coming in will trigger an intro because they're the one entering the field. The list here is the outro skill, and the reason this shows as a separate list is because for most of the characters in the game that aren't main DPS characters, they will provide some kind of benefit to the character that's coming in. If they're a support character, they will do a heal or some kind of bonus. If they're a synergy character, they can give the next character a massive buff. You can see here I have this character, the pink-haired lady. She will give a resonance skill damage bonus of 38% damage for the next character, and the character that's listed up here, one of the free characters, actually does most of her damage with her resonance skill. So it's a nice synergy. We build up the concerto with Tao Chi, we swap over to Chixia, and we get a nice huge damage bonus because of that, because we've lined up the characters properly to get really good synergy out of them. And all of this comes down to creating a good team comp that works well together, but it's a system that you're going to have to get used to when you play Wuthering Waves because you want to take advantage of it as you're swapping between the characters. Here's a quick reference sheet for the different outros for each of the characters and what they'd provide, either an elemental bonus, a kind of attack boost like basic attack or heavy attack or resonance skill damage or a damage bonus. And most of the time the characters that only have damage done on intro and damage done on outro without any synergy, those are usually going to be, without the with the exception of Yuan Wu, going to be primary damage dealers that you'll want to buff when they're doing their damage. And you'll even get characters like Baija or Mortifi or Verena or Yin Lin that have what's called a coordinated attack, which means when it's active and you transfer to a new character, their effect, which is current character, will stay active. Even Tao Chi has like a special buff. Yuan Wu has a special buff as well that will linger on the current character. Those are called coordinated attacks if they don't go away and stay active while you're switching through the characters. So all this goes into team comp building, and I'll leave it at that for the sake of this video. Another stat you need to be aware of is the energy regen stat here, and this only affects, as far as we know, it only affects the buildup of your resonance liberation, which is your ultimate ability, the one that takes charge by dealing damage, and you can release it on that character. In general, a general rule of thumb is when you are towards the end game of a character build, you want to aim to be at about 130 to 150% energy regen, and that just allows you to have your ultimate ready every single time you rotate through your characters. Now, people ask this a lot when they're new to the game as well, is there co-op in the game? And the answer is yes. There's two forms of multiplayer that exists in Wuthering Waves. The first is just going to be joining someone else's world, and this is very similar to a FromSoft Souls-like game where you'll come in as a visitor to their world and you can, hang out with them, run around, explore, do that sort of thing. And then for the challenges and activities, there's going to be an option to either solo challenge it as your own party of 3, or you can match with 2 others and then you play one character and the other 2 characters are individual players. So 3 players, still one team of 3, and you all get to be on the field at one time. And so both those options for multiplayer are there if you want to play with your friends. Next, let's talk echoes, because this is actually a huge system in Wuthering Waves and one that does take a little bit of time to fully fully grasp. And it's the idea that you can actually capture, kind of like Pokemon, the different monsters, or they're called TDs in this game, around the world. They all have different bonuses and stats and effects and different ways that you can use them as part of your character customization. So you can kind of think of these as power-ups or even gear or equipment for your characters, and choosing which ones and in what quantity and what stats they have is a big part of making your character stronger. So as you're running through the world and killing these monsters, a echo will be left behind on a percent chance depending on what level your databank is. So we just killed off these TDs. You can see there's this golden after image of them, and this is an echo, and you can absorb this, and this will be a random set of stats and a set bonus Sonata effect for that. So all you have to do is run up to it, use your use button, and you'll collect that creature for your collection based on your databank level, and it will allow you to put together a full list of 5. On each character, they will have an echo selection on the left side. So you click this and you can see that on the right side, there is a selection of 5 echoes that you can have equipped on one character. And this functions kind of like a deck in a trading card game. You have a certain amount of cost. When your databank is maxed out, you can have 12 points total for the amount of monsters that you have in your deck, and the higher the cost of the unit, the better the stats on that will be. So at 4 cost, the highest cost, which is usually boss monsters, will have very valuable stats like crit damage or crit percent or healing bonus, things like that. Very valuable stats for your main line. Then when you go to 3 cost units, they will have a myriad of very valuable stats and elemental bonuses for the element that you have. And then the last one, the 1 cost units, will have a fixed amount of HP, and then they'll usually have attack percent, HP percent, or defense percent. One thing to keep in mind for monsters is the bottom number of these 2 right here. You see how these are bubbled by gray? The second number is always going to be the same. So it's attack for some of these. For some of these, it's going to be, just flat attack. And then for the 1 cost, it's going to be flat HP for that. So you always have the same value on the bottom, but the first number is randomed when you drop the unit. So depending on what you need for that build, you may want a different stat on that. There are 2 accepted combos for using a 5-stack of echoes right now in Wuthering Waves, and that is either the one you see on screen, which is a 4 cost, a 3 cost, a 3 cost, and a 1 cost, and a 1 cost. So this is going to be 10 plus 2. This adds up to exactly 12. Now this only gets you 1 4 cost, which we know has the best proper stats on it, but there's another option that some people opt for and can be good in really specific situations, where you run 2 4 costs and then 3 1 costs, which means you lose out on the bonus of the damage on the, or HP or healing on the 3 cost units, but it does allow you to get 2 4 costs of that higher value. So just pay attention to that. Again, it's like a trading card game where you're trying to put together the best units, but you don't want too many expensive units. You don't want too many inexpensive units. You want a nice balance of those. So you're either doing 4 3 3 1 1 or 4 4 1 1 1, and you're just trying to find the right stats for the character. Now, the next thing you have to be aware of when it comes to echoes is going to be the Sonata effect that exists on that echo. Each echo usually has a selection of 2 or 3 different Sonata effects, and you can think of these as just set bonuses. So if you look down here on the Sonata effect, you can actually see from this list here what they do. There's a 2-piece set bonus and a 5-piece set bonus. So you either want to do 2 different sets, so maybe you want 2 of one and 2 of another, and then you just have a good 5th echo, or you get all 5 of the same set to get that bonus filled out for your character, and that's going to be specializing your build even further. So you want to make sure that you have all the right set bonuses on that character to max out that set, and also have the right stats that you're looking for on top of that. Once that's all set and you figured out your build, then you can actually upgrade these echoes to not only raise their level to the highest based on their rarity, but it will also increase the stats on them and unlock what's called tuning, which is basically just rolling extra stats on the echo. Very straightforward. Once you have more levels on the echo, you can use special materials to tune that echo, which gives you all these bonus stats that you see right here, which are also random. So you're constantly looking for the perfect echo to use, and you want to have 5 per character that are all really well rolled. Now, if you bring up your main escape menu, you'll see the data bank, and this one is super important to level up. It's one of the main progression systems that you'll have prior to level 40 that you'll be pushing to make your account better and better, because the actual echoes that you farm and drop drop are going to range in rarity. They start at level 2 for the green, and then they go blue, and then purple, and then finally gold for the 5-star. And the higher the rarity, the better the stats, so you want to get this upgraded as soon as possible. However, when you start the game, you'll be databank level 1, which you can see down here at the very bottom only drops 2 stars. So no matter what, when the echoes drop, they'll have a much lower chance of dropping when you finish off the TDs in the world, and the rarity that they can be is going to be the very minimum. Then as you collect more and fill out your Pokédex for all of the TDs in the world, you'll get more and more chance. You see at level 5, we get a chance to get 3 stars. We start moving up, we start unlocking 4 stars. The chance of those turning into 4 stars when you absorb them goes up, and then eventually you get 5 stars, and that goes higher and higher as you fill out your databank. And I'm sure as new releases come out, new updates, we'll get more added to this system. So the ecosystem is a fully contained system on its own, and it will make your character significantly stronger. It's one of the best things you can do. So now let's talk about the actual per character equipment and gearing to make your character stronger. And the first one is going to be your weapons. Each character can have a weapon equipped, and this weapon can be leveled up just like everything else, just like your characters, just like your echoes. You'll be able to use materials to raise up the level of your weapon, and the weapons will come from the banners that you're pulling from as well. There'll usually be a character banner and a weapon banner, and this is where you get all these really nice upgraded weapons from the drop. And the higher the rarity, the better the weapon, the better it scales, the better stats it has. So you want to find the right weapon for each character, but there's a bunch of different weapons that do different things. Not only are they going to have different base stats on them that scale up as you level the weapon, but they'll also have a passive effect that will be triggered from some condition, either healing yourself, giving yourself defense, more attack for a specific kind of attack. So finding the right weapon for the character, making that weapon stronger, finding the right echo set, the right sonata set, and the right bonus for the character is all part of the process of customizing and making your own experience and also your own playstyle. Additionally, you can upgrade your forte system, which is upgrading all of your abilities. You can make your basic attack stronger, your resonance ability, which is your E, your ultimate, which is your resonance liberation, and then your passive effects and even your intro skill can be modified through this system as well. And of course, we already talked about the sequencing or the resonance chain that allows you to make the character stronger just passively as you get more and more duplicates. Which, by the way, the weapons have the same system, so you can actually get what's called syntony or tuning for your weapon. As you get duplicates of that same weapon, you can raise the value of the passive effect on it by combining those duplicates into the weapon, just like you would with the actual resonators, the characters. Lastly, let's talk about activities and what you want to be doing every time you log in. Especially when you're first starting out, it may be kind of confusing as to where to go and what to do. Your first thing is going to be a passive long-term effort, which is going to be running around the map. I'm going to zoom in so I don't spoil too much, but running around the map and doing random activities. You'll find tons of puzzles, race challenges, shooting challenges, random quests that pop up, things like that. So just run around the world, collect as many materials as you can, and put all those together. All of those will end up giving you the soft currency you need to summon more characters or summon more weapons. So it's all part of that process, and will increase your overall unlock. You'll get trophies and special awards and bonuses that way. The next thing you want to be aware of is going to be your wave plates, which is a refillable resource that generates over time. There's 240 total, and you get 240 every single day for 24 hours. So this constantly refills itself, and this is going to be the currency that you use to enter into general activities. So there's going to be forgery challenges that give you weapon upgrade materials or skill upgrade materials. There's going to be boss challenges that will give you character upgrade materials, and all of these, in order to collect the loot from them, will cost a certain amount of wave plates. So you want to be using these regularly. And actually, one thing I see a lot of new players do when they first get into the game is they'll play for a couple days without spending any wave plates, without realizing that the time that they're maxed out on these is just wasting that resource. So I would get into game, even if you're not sure what to do, just start completing challenges and consuming your wave points. And if you're part of the optimal rotation of getting in and getting your dailies done, I would recommend spending those wave points every day. If you press F2 on PC, you'll bring up all of your challenges and bonuses. You will get a daily challenge for activity once you unlock it, which will allow you to get activity points XP. So you want to make sure you're doing your daily tasks here. You'll also get a daily quest, which will almost always be part of this system. So you want to make sure you're completing that as well. Then going to your challenges, we have the challenges that we just looked at. So forgery, simulation, boss, all of these can be done at any time as long as you have wayplates to spend. However, there are weekly challenges and weekly challenge areas that you'll want to complete every week or every 2 weeks to make sure you get value out of that. The weekly challenges for these are just special boss battles that give special unique loot. These will require your wave plates. And there's also challenge areas like the Tower of Adversity, which is a challenging tower you climb up and it gets harder as you go, which gives you a bunch of great rewards that you'll want to be doing on a regular rotation. So you can see up here in the right hand corner, this does have a reset, which means that if you didn't do it at all until it reset, you're just missing out on those rewards for that. Press escape. There's going to be this event area as well. Just make sure you're paying attention to this. They're pretty active in creating events that you'll want to follow. They give away a bunch of free stuff. So just make sure you're paying attention to this as these come available. You want to complete them, get the rewards for them. Some of these are super straightforward. Some of them are really quirky and fun, like Overdash is a challenge going on right now that allows you to just go through these running courses and you get a bunch of rewards for it. So just pay attention to that. And they have a bunch of launch campaigns as well that give you a bunch of free stuff for being a new player. And it's also worth mentioning the soul phase for your account. This is going to be a rank up system. This goes up by power, like sequences of 10. So when you get to like level 10, level 20, level 30, level 40, you'll be able to phase up your account, which will make all of the enemies in the overworld stronger, and which means they'll drop better loot, but also be more of a challenge. And this also unlocks special things for you, like your data bank restrictions, what level your characters and weapons can be. As of right now, everyone's maxed at level 60, and some people are starting to hit that level 40 union level, which will increase the soul phase, which allows you to get even higher. So if you ever run into this message right here, if you see in the bottom left, next ascension at soul 3 phase 5, if you run into a banner like this, it means that your union level, your account level shown here is not high enough. You need to get to the next power of 10 or next segment of 10. So if you're at 21, you need to get to 30. If you're at 5, you need to get to 10, and then we'll unlock the next phase, the next soul 3 phase of your account, which will unlock a higher tier for all of your upgrades and bonuses. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. And if you see that banner, it just means your union level, your account level needs to get higher. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.